Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my podcast, Tapped In. I'm your boy, Tapiwa Mafura, and I've got a special guest today, Oupa Mohoje. Debo, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much, Debs. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure, brother. We're going to get right into it, man. We're going to start with the first question. I want you to tell me a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and where did you
rugby start?
You're not
asked me about COVID? And
No. That's a little bit deep.
All right, cool.
People want to know about you, man.
Jeez. All right, cool. No, look, I'm just your simple boy from the Free State. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the Free State. I was born in the Free State, and... actually, I was born in Kwakwa, Putari Chaba.
Where's that?
It's close to Harrismith, and between Harrismith and Bethlehem, much closer to Clarence.
Yeah.
I was born there, and my family and I moved to Bloemfontein in 1997. Obviously, my dad and my mom were looking for better opportunities for their kids. And I came here in 97 and I've been here since then. So I think it's safe to say Kingwana, you know.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
man.
I know
you're gonna
you don't
have
know
to
what that means.
translate.
You need to learn.
But you're gonna have to translate for the viewers.
Wanahuma is a Bloom term. They use literal translation is grandmother's child.
Okay.
But it just sounds better when you say it in Bloom language.
Nah, I beg to differ, but go on.
Yeah. So the family and I moved here in 97, like I said, for better opportunities. And we went to school. My mother went to Grey College, and I went to Fona Primary School in Hardias Louis Botha. And that's when I finished my matric year.
Yeah.
That was in 2009.
Yeah.
So from there, hey man, this has been me. Became a rugby player. But I'm sure you're gonna ask me about that a bit later, though.
I want to know where you started playing rugby. How did you get into rugby?
So initially, how I started playing rugby was I saw a couple of, young white folk playing rugby. I was 9 years old, and I was in an extra class. Where we sit there and wait for our parents.
Yeah.
My dad would usually fetch me at 4 o'clock because he'd be working. He's a government employee, so he'd fetch me like 4 o'clock. And they asked us if we want to, stay and study or you want to go do extramural activities. And I was like, nah, I'm going. Where are you going? And I was like, I'm going to go play rugby. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going to go there. And that's where I started. That's also where I got the name Oupa. I got to the training field and this guy insisted in calling me Oupa because I had grey hair. But for a 9-year-old, obviously that was a bit difficult because, I just want my name. You know, Oupa is just not a good name for a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
But eventually it's a name that I got used to. And I've played rugby since I was 9 years old, on and off. I tried to play soccer as well, but I just wasn't good enough. I just couldn't cut it. You know, when you're at peace with yourself, saying, "Hey, man, I'm not a soccer player."
You have to be honest with yourself.
Hey, man. So I realized that at a very early age. In high school, I was a rugby player and a high jumper. So
could you jump high?
Yeah. 205 was my highest, but personal best.
That's fun.
What I do.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So and then there came a point where I had to decide between high jump and rugby.
Really?
Yeah. I had to decide.
High jump and rugby?
Jump, yeah.
Like some other people think it's cricket or rugby or soccer.
I was not good at cricket. Yeah, high jump.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was an obvious decision. Rugby, I loved it. I felt like I was good at it. High jump had its seasons. I'd do good in summer, and then in winter I'd do really bad. It was the weirdest thing ever. But rugby, I'd be consistent, and it was not a difficult decision. I chose rugby, and it's safe to say that I made the right choice.
I hear you.
For sure.
And let's move on to your call up to the box. I mean, how was that experience for you playing for your country? I mean, when did it start? How was it getting that call from the coach? Listen, you're in the camp. We want to get you to play for your country. How was that?
Alright, so getting the call up in the road just before that was a very, very strange road. I was in the Super Rugby group back in the end of 2013. I'd been in the Super Rugby group and 2014 also. But just before Varsity Cup started, they dropped me. And they told me, listen, you need to get a bit more experience and we're going to send you back to the Varsity Cup. And, for a guy that's, I'd like to believe that I was working hard. I was not too happy about it, but hey, we're here now, you know. So I had to go back and play Varsity Cup, and a few weeks after Varsity Cup, they called me back because of an injury. One of the senior guys had been injured, so they called me back, and I was like, "Alright, cool, we're back," And I played a few games. My goals as a 20-year-old was, okay, you know what? At 23 or at 24, I want to play professional rugby. So I want to be in the Cheetahs bench 2015. I want to be starting 2016. I want to be in the group, the Springbok group. 2017, I want to be on the bench. In 2018, I'd like to be starting. That was my ambition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the Springbok dream right then, it was, even though it was a dream, but it was a bit further than what I anticipated.
Yeah.
So Super Rugby continued, and I played about 7 games. 7 games later, they told me that, listen, hey, did you hear the news? This is now Nagatrotsky. He's like, did you hear the news? I'm like, oh no, what are you talking about? He's like, well, let me be the first to congratulate you that...
Who's this now?
Nagatrotsky.
Yeah.
He's like, let me be the first to congratulate you that you're being called up in the Springbok squad. And I was like, what? The Springbok squad? Alright, cool. I mean, hey, man. But from there, everything just changed. Like, training was different. You know, I felt confidence.
Yeah.
It was, I felt great. It was amazing. Yeah. And I went to the camp, the three-day camp. And when I got there, it was all the legends. You know, your Victor Matfield, Bakis Botha, Brian Abana, the guys that we used to watch when we were in high school. You know, you never thought you'd play against, but now you've seen these guys. You know, and I was like, shoo, okay, this is it. We're here now. Time to impress. You know, and I did my best to make sure that I'm remembered. And before we went back home, it was the Friday. Like I said, it was a 3-day camp. So the Friday before we went home, I get a 1-on-1 with Hanek Meyer, and he says to me, hey, listen, he asked me my size and my height, and I tell him, and he tells me about my abilities, and I'm like, oh, thank you very much. But he says, your ball carrying is one thing that I haven't noticed really, but I'll go back to your clips and I'll check them out. I'm like, more than welcome, coach. So we fly back home. I'm nervous. I think it was a Currie Cup or the Super Rugby final, semi-final, or something like that. And watching the game, I think that was the longest game of my life, Tabs. It was a lot, because now after the game would be, I forget. I really forget. But it was the longest game I'd ever watched, literally 80 minutes, but felt like 3 hours.
Why?
Because right after that, the Springbok squad, the official Springbok squad, re-announced. Yeah.
Okay.
And after the game, I'm sitting there with my brother and my mom and dad, and we're just watching the TV, and the squad comes on. But everybody in the house is quiet, and I'm like, I'm not in. And then I look again, and my name is there. And I was the first one to notice, and I jumped up high. It was the best day of my life. We rejoiced, my family and I even cried. I shed a young thug tear there. Like, it was a great experience. And
that's amazing, man.
Yeah, moving on, I was in the squad, and they played 3 games, one in Cape Town, one in Johannesburg, and one in Mpumalanga. And then from there, we play Scotland in PE, and the Tuesday, the coach calls me to his hotel room. He's like, listen, you're playing this weekend. And I'm like, hey man, it's about to happen. Debut, yeah. I'm like, it's about to happen. It's really about to happen.
Yeah.
And it was the most amazing feeling that I can ever get. As 23-year-old guy, I never thought that it was happening this time. It was a really, really good experience.
Yeah.
And flip, man, I still get goosebumps talking about it now.
I can imagine, man. This is one hell of a feeling. And moving on to the next question, I want to talk about the injuries that you had. Let's just talk about the previous one that you've had and the mindset that you were in and what you had to do to get back to 100%. Because, you're back now and I can see you're ready for action.
I'm hungry, Tabs.
I can see that.
I'm hungry, Tabs.
Let's talk about that.
You know how we do.
You know what it is.
Look, in 2018, the first of September, or the time just before that, I had been selected as the Cheetahs official captain. It was one of the biggest achievements that I could have in rugby, one of. And, we were going to grow. I was going to grow and, hopefully see what happens from there. The sky's the limit, Yeah. And first game, 14 minutes, or rather just before that, I feel great. I feel confidence, fearless, I am to a point arrogant, that listen, this is our team and we're gonna win. We're gonna beat Munster today. And that's how I felt like, because of how we were training, how we planned this game was to the T.
Yeah.
And 40 minutes into the game, boom, my ACL goes, my knee ligament. I fall down, and as I'm on the ground, I'm lying on the ground. The doctor's arriving. I'm like, Doc, this thing, there's no way I'm playing next weekend. I cannot play next weekend. I can feel it. What is it? And he's like, judging by it could be, but what it could be an ACL, that's 9 months.
Yeah.
Or it could be an MCL, which we hope for, which is 3 months. And I was like, no, I'm an optimist. I'm like, no, it's an MCL, definitely. 3 months, easy peasy, I'm back.
No.
And I fly back and I do my scans, and they tell me, listen, this is an ACL and a meniscus.
And how long is that?
So that's between 9 months and a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm thinking, okay, well, 9 months to a year, dude, let's go for it. Easy peasy. They tell me, the guy that operated me said, no, other players actually get back in 6 months.
Yeah.
But they didn't specify. Soccer players can have the ACL tear and be back in 6 months.
Okay.
Sevens players can have an ACL and be back in 6 months.
Wow, what makes it so easy?
Because the contact and the pressure is different.
Yeah.
So, I was like, I'm going to go for 6 months. I'm gunning for 6 months. And 6 months came, and I was like, okay, well, we're not there yet. It's okay. Let's go for 9 months then, And then 9 months came, and they're like, no, just give it some time. Give it a year.
Yeah.
And it was 12 months. Then I wasn't ready, and I didn't feel confident. I could feel that I'm not ready. And then everything just went, Then everything just became tough. It became really, really tough. I struggled to practice. I struggled to keep up with the players. My mind and my heart was in it, but my body just didn't want to allow me. And I'd get back home, and all the other players, they feel like they've done something at training today. They've gone there 1%. They're always chasing at training. And I didn't get that. I didn't get that, 1%. 1% is the easiest thing to get. But I just couldn't get that 1% better.
True.
And my mind just went in a dip. I was in a really, really tough place. And in December, a few months later, I went to the doctor. Also, a few months later, just before that, I go to the doctor and say, listen, this knee's not right. It's not okay. Like, I can feel my abilities are better than this. And they're like, no, it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. All in the mind.
Doesn't feel that way.
Don't tell me it's all. I really, like, if anyone tells me it's all in the mind, I get really, really upset. Like, I get mad. Because it's not in the mind.
You feel like it's more than that.
The knee is sore. How on earth can you say it's all in the mind? It's not in the mind, And eventually the doctor gave up and was like, okay, listen, in January, we'll have to go for scans again and see what happens. Maybe we go for a scope. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. I'm down for that. The following year, which is this year, I went for a scope, and they said that there's something growing on the ligament. There was, I don't know what they call it, but there was a growth. They just have to scrape it out, and then I'll be good again. This tumor meniscus again. And that's what they did,
Yeah.
As soon as I stepped off that bed, on that day, I stepped off that bed, I felt like I could play today. I literally, if you put me on the field, I feel better than what I did yesterday.
What was the difference?
Already. The knee felt like it could bend again.
Okay.
It felt like I can walk painless. And mind you, this is 2 hours or 3 hours after the operation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They said it would take about 6 weeks to heal.
Jeez.
I was like, dude, in 6 weeks, I will be in top shape. Yeah. And 6 weeks came. It was about 6 to 7 weeks came. And I remember we were about to play Leinster that game, that week. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get my opportunity now. One of these days, I'll get my opportunity now. I'm ready. And then boom, COVID hit.
Oh. Man. I know how you feel. I mean, we all, at least luckily now, we're going to start playing soon. And what is it that you feel like players need to do if they want to be professionals and to stay a professional? Because we've seen some guys that have gone on the path of trying to be professionals, but it didn't last or they didn't even get there. What do you think a player has to do?
That's a very good question. I think players that want to become professional and stay professional, before you become professional, fake it till you make it. Speak it into your life. I'm a professional rugby player before you become a professional rugby player. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And then when you become professional, it's another level up.
Yeah.
It's not even what you, it's another level up. When you become professional, keep at it. Stay at it. the best players don't make it by just making excuses, by sitting around, by missing extra sessions. Perhaps you missed an extra session today.
Nope.
You missed an extra session today.
Just came from the kicking session, bro.
The best players don't make it by being spoon-fed. Sometimes you've got to go get it by yourself. And in sport, you've got to go get it by yourself. I think we're lucky because we're in a group sport.
Yeah.
Imagine you wait for Nick Garrick, what he has to do to get to be the world record holder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we want to get to that level or even close, you've got to get these things for yourself. You've got to get it for yourself. You quit making excuses about the coaches don't like me. Or make them like you.
Yeah.
You know, some advice to the younger kids I always say is that, especially they want to become sportsmen, my only advice is go and study. That's the biggest regret that I have, is that I couldn't finish my studies.
Yeah.
Now I've come to the reality that rugby can end at any day. It was very difficult for me to accept that, or maybe I was just ignorant. Maybe I was ignorant. But rugby does come to an end very, very soon.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a qualification, it's going to make life harder for you. So my advice is go study, make that your primary objective, and then sport will come after.
Thank you once again for coming onto the Tapped In podcast. It was a pleasure having you here, man.
Yeah, so tell me about yourself.
No, it's a wrap.
All right.